Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Hope you're having a good day. We always react to a different video at the beginning of stream, a video that is recommended by my community. So today, one from Frizz, a Reddit story entitled Parents, My Brother Wants My House for Free. So this is sure to be juicy, sure to be absolutely crazy. We know family drama can get absolutely out of hand, especially when it should not. Like, that's your family. Like, it just shouldn't happen. So let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and get into this story. Hope
I'm
you
a
guys
single man in my
enjoy.
early 30s. I've got a brother who's 29 and he's already got 4 kids. He had his first at
Wow.
22 and the second followed a year later. Then the third 2 years after that, and his 4th kid is the most recently born a couple of months ago. His wife and I do not get along because she always likes to try to get a rise out of me by acting superior. Then she turns into an extreme self-victimizing drama queen if I retaliate against her in any way. She can cry in an instant and can put on an extremely convincing show to get sympathy from just about anyone. My parents and brother absolutely adore her, even though they know exactly how she really is and just don't care. She is very good looking, I'll give her that. But she's just so awful that I could never be attracted to her. She also
would hope
refuses
not.
to get
She's
any
your
sort of
sister-in-law.
job, even though she has a college degree and my mother willingly helps with the kids all day. So their finances are entirely dependent on my brother. This also means that they can't afford to live anywhere but my parents' house. Also,
Okay, at that
privacy is a
point,
bit
it's
of
an
an
issue.
issue with all of them under one roof in a 3-bedroom house that was built in the 60s. Growing up, my younger brother was also the obvious favorite. My brother always got the lion's share of everything, unless people called my parents out on it, which did happen a fair bit by other family members. And that's why my parents packed us all up and moved us about 150 miles away from the family. That way, they would only see us during holidays. My brother got physically abusive towards me on a number of occasions, flirted relentlessly with my first girlfriend to the point that she broke up with me, and laughed at any misfortune I had. And my parents just told me to suck it up whenever I was upset about it. I only got equal treatment when my parents went.
Okay, so far, I am not completely sure how to feel about this. It kind of seems like bro is like, it seems like he's complaining about a lot. And I don't know. Originally, I was siding, I don't know, one way with the guy whose perspective we were watching. But I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see
I admit,
by the
it
end of the
was
story.
rather funny to see the looks on their faces whenever they had to treat me equal to my brother on birthdays or Christmas because other people were there as well. We had relatives who were very nosy and loved gossiping drama. So my parents did their best to hide what was really going on and threatened to take all of my stuff away if I didn't keep my
wow.
mouth shut. If anything, it just made my
Okay, that
parents
makes it
celebrate
sound
more
pretty
when I
bad.
turned 18 and moved out because it meant they no longer had to provide for me. I wasn't even done with
That's
high school
unfortunate.
yet when I moved out, but couch surfing was far better than living with them. I've been low contact with them ever since leaving home. They didn't even show up for my high school graduation. Okay, to summarize this next paragraph, OP fell on hard times during the pandemic, so since he loves campers, he ended up buying a used $1,000 camper in great shape. I originally was hoping to be able to live out of the camper at my parents' house, where my brother and his family still reside as well. But when I asked my parents to let me park my camper there for a while, they told me they had a full house and didn't want me there. They said they'd only agree to let me park my camper there if I paid them basically what it would cost to rent an apartment in my area. But I may as well just be living in an apartment with the rent price they were asking. Also, my sister-in-law thought that it was absolutely hilarious that I had to live in a camper. My brother joined her in pointing at and mocking me while calling me a homeless bum.
Okay, you have no
And then
reason
OP
to
goes into
point
this
at him
long
and call him a
explanation
homeless
where he
bum
kinda had to
when
just
you're
park
living
wherever he
with
could for a while, and
your
eventually his
parent-in-laws.
boss let him park his camper behind the place where he worked. Luckily, OP was able to make the down payment on a house. When I was fully settled in the house, I was dumb enough to brag about it on Facebook. My family saw that post, and that's where the drama really starts. After a few weeks, my parents and brother, along with his family, came to visit me, completely unannounced, to have a tour of my home. I didn't even give them my address. So, how they found out where I live, I still don't know. Once I opened the door, they practically all shoved their way in like rambunctious tourists. Then they just started making themselves at home. They all kept poking around, and my sister-in-law had this creepy smirk that she was repeatedly flashing me. It was only later that I figured out why. My parents were constantly talking about how I've got so much extra space now, and it's too much space for someone like me who has no wife or kids. My brother kept remarking about how there was more space than our parents' house, and my house was closer to his job too. Red flags all around, I know. Eventually, my brother asked me to speak privately. Everyone else suddenly left the room and piled out onto the front porch. That's what finally made me realize they'd planned something. My brother Dan said that this house was too much for me alone, and I should let him move in with his family because his wife is pregnant with kid number 4. Also, my house is much closer to his job. He pointed out that I already have the camper, so I could just live in that outside while they live in my main house. Also, I'd like to point out that Dan never once spoke about offering rent. Mind you, he's got a good job, and he also started talking about how there would be changes and even curfews for me, and that I couldn't just walk into my own home at any time without prior notice. If it weren't my brother, I think the person I was talking to had lost their mind. I tried to speak, but he kept talking over me as if I had no say in the matter. I've heard of this exact kind of situation in videos online many times, and never once did I actually think that I would encounter it because it's just so ludicrous. But my parents, brother, and sister-in-law do all fit the bill for a bunch of narcissistic, entitled crazies. So I picked up my phone and set it to start recording. Then I just held on to it. Dan didn't even seem to care or notice that I was recording this, and just sat there with his arms waving around while talking about all the reasons of why he needed my house. Then he went from saying that to acting like it was a done deal and trying to reach out his hand to shake mine. That's when I finally showed my backbone and said, "Hell no!" I said it loud enough that Dan kinda stumbled backwards for a second. Dan got as physically close to me as he could without actually touching me and said that I didn't deserve this house and that he needed a better place for his family to live. I laughed back in his face and said that was total BS because I worked hard to be able to buy my house. Of course I deserved it. Dan started yelling that I have no wife or kids and I don't need all the space. So I may as well just give it to him. I said, "I'm not giving you anything." Besides, he never even offered to pay me rent, so if I let him move in, then I'd still be covering the entire mortgage on my own house without even being able to live there. Then Dan told me that he shouldn't have to pay rent because his family comes first, and our parents said that I was going to do this, and that I will. I yelled, as if their word is law or something. I told Dan that they didn't have the right or the power to give my house to him. Then, right on cue, my parents and sister-in-law barged back in through the front door and surrounded me to try to force me to agree. There was a lot of fighting, but to sum it up, it boiled down to, just do it for Dan. I told them they do not have a say in my life or my house, and to get out before I call the cops.
Crazy.
My sister-in-law was the loudest, screaming at me about how she was pregnant again, and
he can't do it? Do it, bro. No shot, bro. That is absolutely insane. That's absolutely ridiculous. Like, that shouldn't even be a question. Like, maybe, like, I've fallen on some hard times. You think maybe we could move in with you? We'll, depending on how big the house is, all share a room. Or could we have your guest room and we put the kids somewhere else? Like, and we'll give you X amount of money a month and take care of these bills because we'll be the people primarily. Like, there's a lot of us versus one of you. But, like, bro, nah, bro. That is absolutely insane. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely insane. All right, here we go. Let's not waste any more time.
I said that I did nothing to her. She just assumed that she could take and take from me like I would just allow it. I had no obligation to her or her family. Then I called her a stuck-up B-word who never had any respect for me. So I don't care what she thinks or how many kids she has. I have no sympathy for her.
Can't blame you for
She's not going to
that.
be living in my house. Well, that made her
She's
angry
not
enough
even
to
working.
attack
Like,
me. She got in one good hit
you
on
had
my
that many
face and tried to
kids.
do more, but my brother held her back, kicking and screaming.
You need
She
to have a
kept
talk
demanding that he let her
before
go
you
so
even
she could
start
scratch
having
my
kids with the
eyes out.
person
The phone I
to
was
figure out
holding
how that will
recorded pretty
work,
much
whether
everything.
they'll still
So
work
I
or
held
will
up
be a
my
stay-at-home
phone and
parent.
said that I was going to
But
call
that
the
needs to be
cops if they
planned
didn't leave
ahead
right
of time.
away. My parents told Dan they were
That way,
leaving.
financially, you can
Then
afford
my
everything
mother
you
said that I
need.
had 1 week to
But
come to my
apparently, it
senses.
seems like
I told her that I wouldn't
that
be
wife
and
needs
to
to get
not
a
come
job
back. Then I told my sister-in-law about the phone
and
recording
needs
and
to
that if she tries
help
anything, I'll press charges for
her
assault.
husband pay for
She
a home for
screamed at me
themselves
and
and
then
their
stormed
children.
out loudly crying with her face in her hands. My mother was the last person out the door and said that I had better do this for Dan and my sister-in-law. I told her that I wouldn't be. OP, I would be shocked if that's the last that you hear from them about this. I strongly recommend that you invest in cameras. Inside your home, outside your home, pretty much everywhere. These people are so entitled that I wouldn't be surprised if you just come home from work one day and they've all just moved in. And then when you call the cops, they're like, "Officer, OP is just mad at us, but we've been paying rent here for months." Also, what's really surprising to me about this story is why can't your brother just buy his own house? And like, yeah, I understand that he's got 4 kids and having 4 kids is expensive, but he's also living rent-free at his parents' house. OP also said he has a good job, which would imply to me that he's making more money than OP is. So if the brother's making more money than OP and isn't spending money on rent, then shouldn't it be easier for him to afford a down payment than it is for OP? I mean, my guess is they probably all just blow their money on stupid stuff because they're all a bunch of morons, honestly. Our next Reddit post is from Big Z. It's supposed to
Probably.
be the most wonderful time of the year.
All right, we got
but
another
for me
story.
and my family, it was ruined by my brother's wife, the entitled mother of this story, who's 34. My wife and I have always had a strained relationship with my sister-in-law due to her tendency to be controlling and demanding. Not just with us, but with our entire family. It's caused a lot of tension and discomfort in the past. We had a family Christmas gathering where we organized a gift exchange for the kids. My 7-year-old son was over the moon when he received a brand new Nintendo Switch as a gift. He was so excited to play it, but the entitled mother saw the gift and immediately decided that her child, an 8-year-old kid, deserved the console more than my son, stating that she couldn't afford to buy such an expensive gift for her kid during the holiday season. My sister-in-law then tried to take the Nintendo Switch away from my son right in front of the Christmas tree, even though it was clearly labeled with my son's name. She was insisting and causing a scene, accusing me of being a bad parent, and because she wasn't able to afford to buy such a nice gift for her son, then we should give him one instead. Despite the attempts of other family members to reason with her and make her understand that her actions were wrong, she refused to listen and kept trying to take the gift away from my son.
That is
My son
absolutely
began
insane.
crying and screaming, but she just didn't care. This all happened in the space of about 2 minutes before the entitled mother stormed off, screaming about how everyone
That
hates
is
her and she's
absolutely
better off
crazy.
without us. It was a terrible experience watching my son's excitement turn into disappointment and tears.
Yeah, that mom
The
is
entitled
absolutely
behavior of my
crazy.
sister-in-law not only ruined the gift opening moment, but the entire Christmas gathering for all of us. Family members expressed their disappointment and disapproval of her actions, but she didn't care, and it seemed like
Yeah,
all
that
that
is
mattered to her was getting what she
crazy.
wanted, no matter the cost. Her actions only served to further damage the
Yeah,
already strained
she is
relationship
messed
between
up
her and
in
our
the
family,
head.
proving that her selfish behavior knows
How did
no
his
bounds,
brother, her
and that she can't even
husband,
keep her entitlement in
handle
check during
that?
the holiday season. Our entire family has completely severed ties with her since Christmas. And despite her trying to
Understandably
reach out to
so.
apologize, I just can't justify having her as part of our life anymore. Our relationship was never great to begin with, and to me, this was the final straw. My son will always remember this Christmas as the one where his aunt tried to steal his gift.
Yeah, that's
Seems kind of strange to
absolutely
me that she tried to reach
insane.
out and like reconcile and make things up with you guys because she said it herself. She's better off without you. Okay, we agree. See ya. Wouldn't wanna be ya. That was r/entitled parents. And
All
if you
right,
like
guys,
this content, check
that
out
is all for that one. That was actually entertaining. The second story, like that mom is just absolutely insane. Like it does suck that she can't afford to buy as nice of a gift for her kids. That's unfortunate, but like you're an adult, you have to realize like you can't just expect somebody to give your kid a handout or them to just like be okay with like no, like nobody's like no, you can't just assume that. Like it's one thing if they offer and like just do it out of kindness, but like it's one to like try to force them to do it. Like totally different situations there. But plus the brother's house story, that was absolutely insane. That whole family has lost it and are absolutely insane. Yeah, that was crazy. Let me know if you guys have ever had any huge family drama issues in the comments. I'd love to hear about it, talk to you about it. But that's all for this one. Thank you guys for hanging out and watching the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I appreciate it. It means a lot to me. That's all for this one, and check out another video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.